We'll share this out here. How's everyone doing this fine morning? Happy Thursday. Good morning, Asham. Morning, Mike. Good to see you. Morning, Dave. Morning, Alex. How are we doing today?
Morning, everybody.
There's Dave.
I'm always 1 minute late for some reason.
It's because you're probably closing out some trade or something.
No, I was reading something really interesting today.
What did you find today?
There's a company called CoinFirm that does compliance and regulatory reviews of cryptocurrency exchanges, and they just finished a report on all the different exchanges, and it was really interesting reading because the ones that I thought would have the highest rating, the highest security, compliance, and regulatory authority were actually kind of in the middle. They weren't as high as I thought. Binance being one of them, which I'm kind of surprised at. But I have to request the full report. I only got the executive summary, so I have to email them to get the full report. Morning, Bob, Keith, Anurag. How are you guys this morning? I started playing. I put the IntraTrader on ES like you mentioned yesterday, and it is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I was going to try and where's that chart I have? I wanted to show everybody that.
Very, very cool.
That's ES.
Like I said, I don't trade ES that much. I don't trade it at all. I stick to YM most of the time, but the signals on the ES with IntraTrader are really, really, really good.
I was taking pictures and showing you yesterday. Where did it go? Do I need to make a new chart again? I can whip one up if we need to. I did notice, heads up for everyone, today's my short Thursday, so half-hour session today. So we'll go to the bottom of the hour, then we'll wrap it up for this week. And let me pull up, let me modify one for ES here. I have so many charts because I'm watching a bunch of stuff. Dave and I were texting yesterday, and we're both been watching Market Timer and everything. So are you still in your positions, Dave, or did you close them out with that overnight activity?
Oh, no. I saw it up 100, but I mean, with the micros, they're really kind of low risk, so I just stayed in the position.
Yeah, I'm still in mine as well, so I'm happy to see this little downturn happening.
Yeah, on YM, that's pretty good. NQ is still up a little bit. MES is still up a little bit, and 2K. So we'll see. But I think the overall trend now is kind of set in stone. I think it's going to be down. Yesterday, it looked like we're going to have an up day, and it tanked at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So I was just going to say for those that are listening, probably don't know, obviously, because they weren't on our text thread, is we're both short on our micros, the entire market right now, based on what we're seeing. So we're not saying go short on anything. Don't jump on anything right now, but we're just very low risk on micro contracts, expecting the long-term signals are not favorable right now.
Yeah, and they went, even though we've had a little bit of an upward trend during the day yesterday, they didn't move. They were down again yesterday. So
lots of activity last night too, I noticed, or obviously everybody can see.
Yep. Key says DBC SLV trade, very cool short, been in over a week. Nice.
Entire market means the YM, the NQ, the ES, and the RTY. So all four major indexes is what I'm talking about when I say that, Keith. And keep my brain working here. Feels like super multitask day.
Yeah.
Let me see if I just need to make, I can modify this one, or no, not that one. That's, who do I want to detach? Or is it right here? And I'm just not seeing it. Let me cruise this back 5 minutes. Yeah, this is the one. Let me bring this guy over. I'll take off the overnight session so it's easier to see. Pay no attention to this side. That doesn't matter as much because the signals, I don't know if they've even worked on the rut yet. But here's what I was doing some research. I actually just saw those last week in a New Rock. That was at an air show here in town. The Thunderbirds were here. So I got to go see them live in person.
Yeah, too bad you got rained out that first day.
Yeah. We had tickets for Saturday, and it rained right before they were going to take off. They were literally on the runway. I mean, we had watched all the smaller guys go, which were really cool in the biplanes. Then the Thunderbirds that went through their spiel, taxied over, lights on, ready to take off, and it just downpoured on us.
That's
so we came back the next day, and they honored the tickets, so we were able to see it then.
That's good. Well, that's really nice.
So here's what I was starting to look at, looking at the ES. So I got this on the MES right now. It's the same if I have the micro or the regular mini contract. And looking at when these signals actually pop for down moves on these charts, since this is on a 5-minute chart.
Yeah, they were nearly perfect. I mean,
they're just dead on.
Yeah.
This one went a little sideways, but then it never went up against it. And then it moved down. Previous day here. Yeah. Maybe this was the only one, but we got our cancel signal. And even on the ups, there was a previously before that. This was a wild day. It must have been some news came out there that maybe this was the.
That was the Fed announcement.
Fed report, yeah. So caught that right at the bottom. Nice move there to the upside. So just looking more and more at this, I'm like, I might have to throw the ES into my game plan too.
Yeah, I don't trade the ES contracts much. I'm a Dow 30 guy going back to 1986. So it's like I've been trading YM for a really long time in the Dow, but with the new MESs, wow. I mean, those are really, really good signals. They're unbelievable.
Blue dots mean basically that there's probably a change coming, or just whatever the previous one may be canceled. So it's wait and see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's basically an alert. Just kind of, hey, pay attention to what's going on because a previous signal may get reversed, but it's not. It's just kind of an alert thing to pay attention. That's all. It's not really a signal of that you need to take any action. But as I mentioned, when Dan and I were texting, that the original market timers spreadsheet was correlated to the S&P 500. When I did the correlation coefficient formula back in 1992 for it, I did it based on the price changes of the S&P 500. It was only later that I came up with the price anomaly column. But basically, the entire spreadsheet is correlated, highly correlated to the S&P 500. So it makes a lot of sense that the intratrader signals would be, because they're based on the market timer spreadsheet, would be well correlated and really firing really nicely on the S&P 500.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, that's excellent.
All right. I had a new private client this month started. Is he in the room? Let me look. I got a couple new ones this month, actually, 2 of them. But he was mentioning that I took a couple trades this morning, one to the upside before the open and a down trade after. So
Good.
He actually caught this 3 minutes. I was really impressed when he sent me his report. He's like, "Yep, I took one short at 8:31 and out at 8:33." I'm like, "Well, you couldn't have timed that any better."
Yeah, I guess so.
Sham says, "Take a quick look at the 10-minute chart on the new Volarb scripts for this morning's trade just to see the trend." I don't know if I have a 10-minute chart on mine, but I think I have that somewhere.
You know, I like the 10-minute charts. I think it's a chart that a lot of traders don't look at, and so you can kind of pick up on some interesting ideas there.
I can make a 10 if we need to. I'll pull up the 15 quick. 15 is pointing down currently, and a signal on the board, which is in line with what we've seen from the open.
Visham made a funny comment in the TSA alert chat this morning. Did you see that?
He wants even less risk?
Yeah. He came out with a mini version of the micros. So I responded to him. I said, mini, micro, e-minis.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that would be funny.
It is good. Yeah, there typically isn't a signal dead on the open on the way this works, Asham. So it's more of a trend. So we don't see signals. Like even with the big move yesterday, there's not an arrow on it. It's more of here's where the trend is kind of going or where's what to expect. So even when it was moving up throughout the day, we were getting down arrows showing. And overnight, it's all moved down since then.
Yeah. So those are, remember that those signals are just identification of the trend.
Yeah, this is not an entry signal.
Right. How many we got in the room here?
I'm showing a different count list. Let me see.
So Andre asked, so what is the entry signal then? Well, on the short term, we still use the atomic entries. So we'll identify the trend using the Vol ARB 2.0 scripts, but it's still atomic entry on a short-term basis. And remember, the volatility arbitrage 2 scripts are really meant for swing trading. You can use them on a short-term basis to identify the trends, but the entry is actually always going to be the atomic entry.
And so you were asking for, or somebody else, I think it was a new rug, was about reviewing TSA. So like today's TSA was, I'll pull it up. And like Dave said, we have more room now since we're doing things in our chat for our TSA subscribers. So we're not limited to text information. So there's lots of good info today. I will put it actually in the chat box.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I can put, that's the trade for today, down up at the open, down trade.
So there's where the bias came from that then. And so we're looking at watching the 1 and the 5. We're expecting it pop to the upside, which it was trending up already after the downtrend. So kind of all started popping early. So we did go up. Then right after the open, it went down. So when we're watching the bell curve oscillator, right here, this peaked, and it didn't get higher than these previous ones if I extend these out a little bit. So once this is coming down, we're expecting it to come down and go the other way. So this would be a good entry point, actually. This wouldn't hurt you at all. It's pretty much flat across, and then the move actually happened 1 minute after the open. So that's where we're looking for the atomic entries, the opposite side again, when it no longer gets extended in the opposite direction. So this bar is smaller than this bar. That's your entry point from an atomic entry standpoint.
Right.
Then the down at the trade, then same thing goes for the exit, just as my client did today. He probably saw this not extending, and he exited the trade and took his profit off those 3 minutes. Shorter trade, lower probability. We've moved it from a risk factor to a probability factor, Dave has, and we had a 20 probability on today. So he played it perfectly right where he got out early and grabbed his profits.
Yeah, I think that a risk factor from 1 to 5 is one thing, but I think a probability of the actual trade happening gives you a little bit more information about how I evaluate the entire setup. Hopefully you guys like that. I would, when I think of it, what I'm doing is in my mind, I'm thinking, what are the probabilities that the trade is going to be down for today? And then I convert that to a risk factor. Well, why not just put in the probability? So that's basically what I did.
Yeah, I like it.
Good.
And we're right around a dozen or so, if you were curious, in the room currently.
Okay, good. Let's see. Sham says, Dave, have to mention this. You need to come up with a VAR 2.0 spreadsheet. It must include a longer binary trend of the 12 columns like in the new script, include a short-term signal for the market open trade, and a long-term signal bias like you have with the other market timer spreadsheets, if at all possible. Thank you for giving me extra work, Sham.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah.
Sean's cute. We like him.
Yeah. His comment in the TSA chat this morning cracked me up.
Andre, I just saw your question there. I might have maybe subconsciously saw it. So does that cover for the entry signal? Or maybe I saw it and I forgot I saw it.
And remember that the trade around the open, that's why we have that little squiggly thing before the open there. I don't know what you call it in English, but
the tilde.
The tilde, yes, around the open. So it could happen anywhere from 10 minutes to 15 minutes before the open to 10 minutes after the open. But we're looking for that up at the open, so that around the open, so that we can take the opposite side of that using the bell curve oscillator.
Excellent.
And the trade still is down today, but with the spreadsheet, went from a +4 to a +1. So we're negative on the spreadsheet, but we're trending positive on the binary trend. So we're in that kind of transition period where we're transitioning from the negative binary trend to a positive binary trend. And the spread yesterday was up over 1% on the daily. So it was almost a hard landing.
Yeah, the 5-point move there.
Yeah, it was -1 to +4. It was almost a hard landing. But it really, if you look at the binary trend, we went from the first column all the way out to the fourth.
Yeah, that's filling out a lot in a hurry. That's a big move. But like you say, yeah, down bias, up bias, up bias. So yeah, conflicts, which led to your lower probability.
Yeah, exactly. And
then we see that playing out in the volatility.
Yeah.
5-minute chart, just like we always say, positive to negative. Peaks and valleys, that's where it happens.
Yep. And so I've been waiting for a long swing trade here. Let's see what the 4 hours doing.
Four hours, there's all this activity overnight.
Yeah.
Continuation too, pushing it down.
Yep, continuation was a big one. It was -0.36 this morning on the those are 1 a.m. and the 5 a.m. bars, so that's a pretty good continuation pattern right there. So
what are we at now? We're at
it's
down.
Yeah, it's down, but it's not much. 9 a.m. It's only down 0.02, 0.03. So very, very small move here on the 4 hour.
Yeah, it's coming back slightly on the 1 and the 5, so it's muting the 4.
But I think we've been kind of transitioning for a while now to the positive trend. And I think after yesterday and maybe this morning's trade, it will go positive. And so I'm waiting. I'm probably going to wait till this afternoon at that, at the 1 p.m. bar again, Eastern time. Sometimes we get a reversal of the morning trade, that 9 a.m. bar. And if we do, I'm going to be watching it right around the 12 o'clock noon period to see if we do get some sort of reversal higher. And if we do, then I'm going to take a long swing trade on that.
Mike says, would you interpret the binary trend as conflicting since it's not a clean progression on prior days, similar to the bell curve oscillator? Or yeah, we like to see it build out 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is abnormal.
Yeah, and sometimes the way you can think about that is that it's a strong move. So because we were over 1% on the end of the day yesterday, then or the day before, so you can think of it as a kind of a strong move, like a move that a stock would make when it's ready to go into an uptrend. Sometimes it comes out of the gate really, really fast. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. It did expand really, really fast, but it shows a lot of momentum to the upside.
DBC SLV fifth column follow the same rules as YMNQ. My initial gut's telling me no once I look at it, but I don't believe. Depends on where we have it set at. Let me see if I still have a DBC SLV chart. I think I do.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this before. We don't really follow the DBC chart or the spreadsheet that much. But the fifth column levels on the chart should give you a pretty good indication of the trend, along with the deviation scaled oscillator we are using. Yeah. So you can see, like, yeah, I mean, the fifth column levels actually, you know what? Did you put, well,
I have them at, they're still at 5. I don't think I adjusted it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, see the last little upturn there was very, very weak on the fifth column levels, right? Very weak, right? Yeah. That's a pretty good clue that it's going to go lower. Keith, are you the one that took the short trade? You've been short for about a week, you said?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so what I might want to watch out for caution is if this peaks past it, that it may stall out and come back the other way, just like it's done here. So when we get close to those peak levels, it didn't go any farther. So if we get down here and you're still short, you might want to look at exiting.
I like that DBC, the SLV DBC trade because number one, you can put the wicks on the bars, and they actually do work pretty well. And also those fifth column levels, and they.
Yeah, see back here when they hit it, that nice down move, fifth column's hit, then it jumped back up a couple days later after it went sideways. So that was a nice signal for exit there as well. So that'll play out most likely again if this extends down. So keep your eye on that.
Yeah, just like the atomic entry, remember when the fifth column levels kind of get down, we don't use the oscillator, but the fifth column levels are more important here. Then you want to do the same thing as you would on a bell curve oscillator, is wait for that uptick. That uptick occurs, then you're probably going to see an upswing on that.
All right, 5 minutes left. Anybody's got any burning questions before the weekend? And it's a first camping weekend for me, so I'm not trading anything tomorrow. I'm hitting the road with the camper.
Nice.
So today's my last day for trading this week. So the market can just tank and I'll close out my positions and I'd be happy.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Do you go very far away?
Today, yeah, this weekend's going to be a 5-hour haul up north. We're getting close to Canada, actually, up by the Boundary Waters.
Oh, getting up to the cooler weather, huh?
Well, it's not going to. I'm going to be happy to go up to the cooler weather because they're talking mid-90s in the Twin Cities this weekend. So it's going to be 80s up there.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So we got our first 90s coming. I don't know if it's the first or not, but storms are brewing.
Yeah, we had kind of a flash thunderstorm yesterday. We were up in the high 80s, very humid yesterday, and then we got a flash thunderstorm, cooled everything off pretty quick.
Andre's saying, Dave, you mentioned the strong correlation in the S&P, even though the system is only following the Dow and NASDAQ. So what Dave's referring to there is I actually still have some open, I think, is the original, which is now evolved into this market timer spreadsheet. This is for the Dow, which also is correlated to the S&P. The original correlation was for the S&P. So that's what he's referring to there. And so we can use these numbers and outlook for both the Dow, which is the YM, and ES, which is the futures for S&P. Is what we were referring to back then. Is that if that's what you're talking about? And then the vol arb stuff is based on the Dow and the NDX, which is why we use the NQ there.
Right.
Is there any questions specifically, Andre, there? You know, see, we got the nice down signal turned yesterday.
Yeah, the most important thing on that sheet is a long-term signal, which started turning down a couple weeks ago.
A long time ago, yeah, we were up in the twos, and ever since then.
Yeah, we had even though even when the market went up there, I can't tell the date, but it's like 860.
Yeah, right around here this week.
Yeah, June 3rd through all the way through the 20th. The long-term signal continued to go lower. That kind of divergence is almost always an indication that the market's going to turn lower as well. So yeah, it's something you really want to pay attention to.
And we see bullish herding tailing off, only left in the final column here.
Yeah, that's a long tail. If we get some sort of bearish herding today, it's a long tail setup. But I'm not impressed with the bearish herding so far. It's been pretty light and kind of.
Maybe it'll do the triple spotty for you every other day. 1, nothing, 2, nothing, 3.
Yeah, possible. Yeah, it's possible. We'll see. But the long-term signal is kind of what we're focusing on right now. Very bearish on that downturn.
You're welcome, Andre. Happy to help.
All right, we'll wrap this up, guys. You got any questions? Dan has to run today. Enjoy camping, yes.
I appreciate it, Sean. Will do. It's good to relax and unwind and unplug.
Absolutely.
Work hard, play hard.
That's true. That is true.
All right, guys. Well, if you got anything for next week, burning questions, let me know. I may have missed one or two, but I'll check the emails. And but I think I caught the ones, and we tried to cover what I saw in there. So appreciate you guys, and looking forward to next week.
You're welcome, nerd. Absolutely. Keith, no problem. Have a great weekend, guys. And we'll see you all on Tuesday next week. Bye.
All right, Dave. Have a good weekend.